Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it's time for another Devblog for the next major update, and this time it is another Magach. So we now nearly have all of the Magachs in the game. There is actually a few left to be able to add, and I'm sure we'll see them over the next few updates. This one is specifically the Magach 7C, one of the more modern Magachs, and probably will be at the end of the line after the Gal-Batash. So the Magachs being added, obviously they do fill out lineups, which is quite nice. The main issue is they all basically play the same, and they kind of get worse as you go along, just because other nations get better abilities. The Magach 7C is going to be at rank 6 for Israel, and will follow a lot of the same patterns as previous Magachs, so I wouldn't really see a difference in playstyle, even with some of the slight additions that it has. It's all going to depend on the turret armor and how good it is, and if we have a look at pretty much all of the other M60 upgrades in the past at these BRs, the armor will be useless. Anyway, let's get into the history of this machine. By the late 1980s, the ERA protection of the Magach 6 series tanks could no longer provide reliable protection against the shaped charge anti-tank munitions Israeli tankers faced on the battlefield. Instead of reactive armor, the engineers proposed a passive armor module built from composite armor plates in the form of a hexagon on top of the cast turret of the M60 tank. The hull was also reinforced with sheets of composite armor, including a massive armor module on the upper frontal glacis. The new tank received the designation Magach 7 and soon went into production, but the very first released vehicles reveal mobility loss resulting from the increased weight of the tank. Upgrade program developed for the Magach 7 included a more powerful engine, a new transmission, as well as improved shape and filling of the composite armor plates on the tank's turret. The new version was designated the Magach 7C, becoming the latest and one of the most technologically advanced serial conversions of the M60 tanks. At the moment, Magach 7's tanks are in reserve, and are also used to train tank crews of Israel's Merkava main battle tanks. So when it comes to this Magach 7C, the massive improvement it has is for its armor, and unfortunately when it comes to a lot of these general vehicles, if that is the big improvement, and that's going to increase its BR and all of that good stuff, it's not going to be very good. The M60 platform, by the time you get to 9093, is not good. It's too big, it's very easy to kill because it has very defined weak spots, and with the more that you add, the easier it is for people to work out where to shoot it. After playing the Gal-Batash for about 100 battles to spade the thing, I had a really rough time with it eventually. It got better, and if you actually have a look at the stats on my profile, you'd probably think it was actually a pretty good vehicle. But no, it was pretty horrific to play, and I feel like the Magach 7 is going to be the same. Whenever I play stuff like T-72s or Abrams around the BR, or even Leopards, the fact that they're a lot, either more survivable, or they are a lot lower profile, or they have slightly better factors in other areas, really makes the Magach 7C and also the other Magachs just not feel very good. The other fact is that if this thing is better than the Gal-Batash, which the way that they're saying it is, it should be, and it's going to be a higher BR than it, probably around 9.7 or 10.0, this means that it's going to be an end-of-the-line vehicle, and that means its modification costs are going to be through the roof. So what is interesting, at least, is they do actually confirm it's going to have stock APF SDS. It says the gun and the choice of shots remain the same as the Magach 6C, that is, in addition to the heat, stock APF SDS, HESH, and smoke rounds, commanders will also have the opportunity to research the M426 APF SDS shell. So this thing will at least have a stock APF SDS, probably something like M111 or something similar to that, which won't have the best post-penetration damage, but at least it'll be better than running around with a heat shell. Maybe Gaijin are learning that these vehicles are complete trash without those things. Hopefully that is something that changes when it comes to the future. It also gets some thermal sights and also a laser rangefinder it'll probably get commander controls as well. And they also, because they added more and more weight to the unfortunately struggling M60 chassis, it has a new 908 horsepower engine. So basically, what you have is a vehicle which has the same mobility as in Magach 6. The engine improvement doesn't matter because they've increased the weight as well. You have the same gun performance as the Magach 6, apart from you get to research the M426 shell, which is a very good shell, but I would rather not be able to research it and have this thing at a lower BR, which, would make it more comparable. I don't like this idea of adding these really good shells to these very mediocre vehicles, because it massively inflates where they should be in the tech tree, and it makes them really hard to play until you get that shell. Until these vehicles have some kind of variable BR, which suits them with that type of ammunition, then they're just going to be horrific to play. It does at least get a 50 cal on it, and also some other guns on the top of it, so very Israeli, and generally I've really liked the fact that Israel has a lot of machine guns on the top of it, which is good. But what you're going to get here, without the engine upgrade, because remember, that's a rank 4 modification, and also the APF SDS, which is probably going to be either a rank 3 or a rank 4 modification, you are going to get something which is worse than the Magach 6. And it's going to be higher BR, and it's going to feel absolutely horrific to play. Because your armor is not going to be able to stand up. It's designed to stop chemical stuff. The turret itself, it may offer a little bit more protection than what we've seen before, because it's basically going to act as spaced armor away from the turret itself. So it does have some quite decent angles. We're going to have to see what the armor values are when it comes to the dev server, and then when it comes to the live server, and maybe it might be good, but I highly doubt it, because this is a tale as old as time when it comes to these vehicles. I don't know why people overvalue these vehicles. They're not good. They are much worse than the competition that they face. And if this thing didn't have the mega round, and if this thing also wasn't only played by a very minority of the player base, this thing would go down very quickly. If you stuck this thing in the American tech tree, it would drop very quickly. But c'est la vie. It's going to be in the Israeli tech tree. Am I looking forward to it? Not really. I've been playing the Magach 6s, and the Magach 6s are okay. They're at stuff like 8.3. They're at stuff like 8.7, where they have gradual improvements over them. They all have exactly the same playstyle, so it does get really boring after a while. But at least, they have all something unique to them, and you can get them through. This vehicle doesn't. Its uniqueness is the simple fact that it has a pointy turret, and that is not good enough for me, especially since that pointy turret is not going to be that useful in the long run. So, overall, the biggest thing that this does is it means that the Galbatash will have lower modification costs. And if that is the case, then that is the case. Hopefully that means people will enjoy it a little bit more, and hopefully it means that this thing won't be as dead on arrival as I think it will be. The other thing that Israel needs is not more MBTs, it needs more light tanks. They've taken steps to improve the issues with the anti-air side of things. It still needs higher BR anti-airs, which hopefully it will get, and also it needs CAS elements from 6.0 to 7.3, because they don't exist, apart from Weizmann's Spitfire, which is a premium, which is still not very good at stuff like 7.3. So those are the two areas which hopefully get a little bit of love, instead of just more Magachs at the end of the day. As always, though, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Forge, Siegebreak, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, and also Sem Arslan, Wilkski, Uncle Bean, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.